Hey. Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmie from Emmie Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. So things are getting interesting. Things are getting interesting, to say the least. We have been going through a few different types of cycles, and at this point, I think we're kind of just done. I think we're kind of just done with all of these different cycles that we've been going through. Our higher selves, for many of us, have been trying to let us know certain things, like help us to understand. We're being given guidance. And for those of us that are not accustomed to guidance from soul, this kind of can show up as like odd sensations in the body, this feeling in your gut that you don't really know, you don't really understand. And so we're going to be pulling some cards. We're going to do a ClairTarot reading, pull some cards, and see what general guidance we're being given. Now, this is not going to apply for everyone, and even for those that this applies to or resonates with, you're probably not going to resonate with everything that's shared, and that's okay. All right, that's okay. That's okay. So let's pull some cards. Lots of messages already. Lots and lots of messages. One of the main things is that quite a few of us have been in somewhat of a holding pattern. With that, it's like we're waiting for a component, we're waiting for an individual, we're waiting for a sign, we're waiting, failing to realize that all of this wait is for what? Have you stopped to think of what you're waiting for? Why are you waiting? What you're waiting for? What is this thing that you're waiting for? And what is it supposed to do for you that you can't do for yourself? Have you guys stopped and questioned that? Because the feeling that I'm being given is that for quite a few of us, this waiting game that we're experiencing really is just another form of avoidance. Like, we're avoiding the lessons at hand. A lot of us are experiencing really intense lessons, okay? Whether there's drama or not, a lot of us are experiencing extremely elevated emotions, extremely intense emotional processing. You know, that can be very challenging, whether you put up a front or not, that you're okay. I mean, the truth is, if you're struggling, you're struggling. Regardless of who knows, who doesn't know, whoever you're trying to hide this from, whatever it is. If you're struggling, you're struggling. And you have to be honest with yourself. If you're having a hard time processing emotions, processing thoughts from the past, you have to find a different method of processing, right? Because really, whether you have a really good poker face or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But you can't fool yourself. So let's see. All right. Let's get started. All right, guys. So card number 18, Virgo, I analyze. Some of the energies that we pull in from Virgo definitely will cause us to become hypercritical of ourselves, hypercritical of how other people may possibly perceive us. And I found some of the things that ends up happening when we take a really good look, a really good honest look at what Virgo goes through, Virgo generalized energy. People in their circles have a tendency to be more hypercritical of them. I don't know why. There tends to be a higher occurrence of several people within the circle of Virgo really just trying to hold them down and keep them from progressing and encouraging their rise. I think a lot of us are experiencing this at this point. You will come across people who have no problem trying to point out all of their perceived um, uh, their perception of your flaws. Okay, what they perceive to be a flaw within you isn't always a flaw. Sometimes it's their refusal to address their own internal issues, their own internal struggles, and you represent whatever's going on inside. And so with the whole Virgo thing, take care not to mirror that kind of behavior. Now, I'm not encouraging you to allow yourself to be a doormat. What I'm saying is react, respond based on you and your character, not based on, well, they did it to me, so I'm going to do it to them. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that, simply because if you do that enough, what ends up happening is you end up pulling in that characteristic, and without realizing it, it becomes one of your own. So you have to really, really pay attention to how you're allowing yourself to mirror what's being projected at you. All right. So analyze not just their behavior, but your own as well. Make sure that you're not falling into that same trap. Card number 27, resilience, burn away the past. It seems like this is possibly a cycle that's been going on and on and on for so many of us. Like the players of the game change, but the game never actually changes. And if that's the case for you, if this is really resonating with you, then you have to really take a good look at how you are co-creating this. Taking a look at how you co-create circumstance in your life has nothing to do with blame. It's all about ownership. This is what I did to help create this circumstance. If I have the power to help create this, that means I absolutely have the power to 100% avoid this repeating. That's why taking ownership is so important. You can't control anyone else. So pointing out someone else's behavior does nothing. Nothing. It does nothing. Because most of the time, the people who behave in this way, whether you're speaking truth and they needed to hear it or not, oftentimes what ends up happening is they don't want to hear it. And so they're not going to hear it. And no matter how many times you try and explain it, no matter how kind you are in your explanation of your observations, they just don't want to hear it, or they're not ready to hear it. And, yes, you should still speak your truth when you feel it's appropriate, but leave it at that. Just an expression of your truth, a release of what you needed to say, and give them the freedom to decide when they're going to apply it. Because I promise you, they heard you. It might take them a few hours. It might take them a few weeks, a few months, a few years, and maybe never before they allow themselves to recognize what it is you're truly saying, the place that you're coming from. All right. So we're not going to try and control anyone else at this point. We're not going to try and get people to see and agree with what we are observing and our interpretations of these observations of their behavior. Because really, what we're observing, what we think about, what we observe, it's our personal interpretation. And regardless of how many people agree with you, like, yeah, that person is a total jerk, that's still your interpretation. That's your opinion. And it's okay. You can have your opinion, but you can't force the person to agree. You can't force them to be in alignment. So it's best to just save all of your energy for yourself, for improving, for modifying, recalibrating, balancing. So for some of us, we're ready to really analyze our own behaviors, how we help to co-create unnecessary struggle for ourselves. Beautiful, very, very empowering. Once you reach that part, you start listening to that feeling in your gut, you can begin making really small tweaks, little changes in your behaviors, your chosen responses, and that can have such a profound effect. It can help you to once again regain balance. Now, for those who've already been doing this, those who are ready to really dive into their own journey and really, really grow themselves, cultivate their environment, we go from balance to center. All right. So it's good to balance yourself, but if you're not in center, you're going to always have to put effort and thought and energy into maintaining that balance. By definition of being centered, you are in the middle of everything. You are balanced. You can have balance without being centered, but you can't be centered without being balanced. Those two go hand in hand. Once you're centered, you automatically have balance. So I think that the primary goal would be to find center, that center within yourself. This might become difficult for people who have become very accustomed orbiting other people. So this is very common for empaths. If you're a highly sensitive empath, and many of us still don't even really know what it means to be an empath, definitely take some time at some point and get that answer for yourself. Okay. I want you to go ahead and look things up and see what that means and see where your soul guides you on your quest for answers. People shouldn't just be constantly giving you the answer, because what if they're wrong? What if I'm wrong and you're taking everything I'm saying in as absolute truth? Then you've just taken in a lie, right? Whether it's intentional or not. Always question. Always just take the terms, the phrases, the concepts, and look into it for yourself and see where that exploration takes you. So, card number 46, Grand Trine, Blessings. We are setting up a foundation right now. Okay. We are creating the foundation from which to build our spiritual sanctuaries. This is a place where we can go within ourselves and feel rejuvenated, feel safe, feel sheltered from whatever life's storm is at the moment. It's okay for you to have a sanctuary within someone else where you can go to someone when you're like feeling overwhelmed by life. But I want you to take a moment to think about this. If you constantly go to that person, is that a fair exchange? Whether they say anything or not, whether they complain, whether they say it's okay, is it a fair exchange? Do you find yourself constantly going to this sanctuary within someone else, dumping off your garbage? And when you've unloaded all of your garbage, you go and go back to your life and everything's good again. You feel good again. If they really are your sanctuary and you're treating them like a dumping ground, is that a show of love? Is that mutually beneficial? Are they able to do this with you as well? Is it a mutual exchange, mutually beneficial? So this is about really, really cultivating beautiful, solid connections with other people. No more of well, they're strong enough. They can handle this. I'm a mess, so they're strong enough. I'm going to go to them. And it's not that you're a bad person or you're selfish. It's that sometimes we don't recognize that we're doing this. And that's why it becomes important to kind of evaluate, sometimes just quietly observe, is this something that I'm doing? And again, not to blame, not to point out how you're failing, but just to recognize what kind of environment, what kind of relationships you're cultivating with other people. Card number 3, detox, cleanse and restore yourself. Now, oftentimes when you're a highly sensitive empath, you're the sanctuary for everyone else. You're the place where everyone goes to dump whatever they can't handle, to dump all the disharmonic energy, the really intense feelings, the heavy emotional loads, all of that. Are you taking it in your desire to assist, your desire to be supportive? And sometimes it's the empath's desire to be worthy of someone else's love. Okay. Some of us don't realize that's what we're doing as an empath. We don't feel we're worthy of other people's love. And so we go out of our way, really, really go out of our way so that hopefully they'll love us, they'll need us, and they'll keep us around. So really just begin the process of detoxing yourself from all the illusions and excuses that you give yourself about your chosen behaviors and functions. This is not the time we're not taking this time to see all the ways in which we're messing up. All right. That's not what this is about. This is about really evaluating, who am I? Who have I become? What are my little quirks? Why do I choose to behave in this way? Like, why do I choose to constantly go out of my way for other people? It's easy to think like it's because I'm a good person and, I want to do nice things for other people. But I came to realize for myself, it's because I'm a highly sensitive empath and I feel other people suffering and I internalize that. And so when I internalize that, it makes me question my worth. It makes me wonder if I'm worthy of other people's love. And because I don't really know, because I'm so overloaded with other people's insecurities and feelings, and sometimes I can't discern what's mine and what isn't. I claim all those feelings, and now I kind of question my worth. And when I make people feel good, when I go out of my way and they're thankful, then it makes me feel like I am a good person. External validation. And these were the cycles that I used to struggle through. And then after I go out of my way, I've established this type of dependency. I did that. I established this, and now they're consistently coming to me, and I'm like, God, no one's ever there for me. People just use me. And you see how the cycle goes. I created that. I created that dependency. And now I'm becoming resentful because there's no balance. If you really, really want happiness in your life, you have to establish balance, which then leads you to rediscovering your point of center. This is the point where you will no longer look outside of yourself for happiness. What am I going to do for myself today? And it's not about like retail therapy. It's not about, getting a massage or going to the spa. It's about what can I do today? I really love learning. I think I'm going to learn something today. I'm going to take a few minutes to read out of a new book, or I like reading articles. I like learning new things. I'm going to go search real quick and see something new that will really spark some creativity, some whatever it is, something positive for yourself. And that's how you shift the way your life goes. Okay. These feelings in your gut are trying to guide you through this process. And if you're going to ignore it, then you're probably going to continue to struggle. And you can't blame other people. You can't. You can sit there and be like, well, I do something for this person and they don't do anything back. But I know you do. I know you love it. But the fact is, you've established that codependency. If someone's trying to establish a toxic connection with you and you participate in it, you've co created that. You're a co owner of that circumstance. Now, if someone's trying to establish a toxic connection with you, meaning they have these quirks, like maybe they deal with unsupportive, toxic family members, and this is what they're used to, and you have a disagreement with them, nothing serious, but just a resetting of boundary lines, and you let them know, and suddenly they're trying to have this kind of emotional manipulation they're used to with family members. No, I'm not going to participate in that. I recognize what you're doing. I know it comes from a place of hurt. No, I'm not mad, but no, I'm not going to do that with you. If you want to talk about things and take things towards a direction where we can have some resolution, we can maintain contact. That's perfectly fine. But I'm not going to that toxic place with you. You can do that by yourself. You don't need me there. So if you recognize the power of being able to recognize, there's power in recognition, then you can absolutely shift your connections with other people, not by changing them, okay, not by forcing them to change, but by helping them to recognize, if you want to remain in my field, these are the general rules. Okay. I'm not going to go to your place and break your rules. You can't come to my place and break my rules. I'm not going to be demanding of you, but there's a certain level of respect, boundaries that you have to operate within if you're going to deal with me. Okay. So these are very healthy things for you to begin recognizing. And again, you're not telling other people what to do. You're teaching them what you will tolerate and what you won't tolerate. So discernment, card number 10. It's important for you to discern when you're doing a healthy boundary reassessment. And when you are entering the territory of you're just telling people what to do, it's hard. It's hard at first to understand the difference, because with society, with the way the human mind functions, it's typically all or nothing. I'm either going to get everything I want, or I'm going to completely reject it. And no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You can make your needs known, and then you can totally open yourself to receiving support for those needs, or the person can choose not to. And you're going to have to be okay with both. And if you're not okay with it, then you need to go your separate way. It's very, very simple. So simple that the human brain is like, that can't possibly be the answer. Oh, it can. It absolutely can, if you allow it to be. Heat. So as we're wrapping up this cycle of, mhm, we're not calling it Mercury retrograde anymore. We're calling it Emmie's tripping. As we're as we're wrapping up this cycle of Emmie tripping ass M, the heat of your emotions, the heat of the processing, is going to ramp up. Now, that heat can be expressed as passion. It can be expressed as rage, because rage is another form of passion. It can be expressed as elevated creativity, elevated productivity, all kinds of different ways. The fact is, the fuel for your rise is increasing. You have all this fuel. What are you going to do with it? People often, when they're developing their, ooh, when they're developing their their spiritual foundation, when they're really, really beginning to cultivate their opinions, how they're going to travel their spiritual path, what kind of path they want to travel, um, we're often told, we're often taught that if you have anger within you, that's not good. You have to ignore that. You have to change that. You have to pretend everything's okay. You have to release that anger. You have to be okay with how people treat you. You can't ever be mad. High vibe. We have to high vibe. So first off, a high vibration, according to, Kalantic science, high vibration is the opposite of high frequency. Okay. Based on the oscillation rate, the frequency is directly tied to the vibration. Okay. Higher vibration means lower frequency. It means greater density. Do you want to be dense? Do you? Do you want to be dense? Because I could have sworn in order to become dense, you have to pull things closer to you, become more dense. You become more magnetic. You're drawing the drama to you. And then, you lower your frequency. But if you lower your vibration, it raises your frequency. It makes you more magnetic. You expand. Consciousness expansion. I think that's the goal. I'm pretty sure that's the goal. Because as you raise your frequency, you become more electric, more excitable, right? And the process accelerates. And what ends up happening, because dimensions are levels of frequency, they're bands of frequency. So the higher your level of dimensional consciousness, the higher your frequency must be. Because these dimensional levels of consciousness, they require a key pass. If you don't have the appropriate frequency, how are you going to hit from the outside of the club? You can't even get in. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If you want to continue with a high vibe culture, you're definitely free to. But like Chris Brown said, how are you going to hate from the outside of the club when you can't even get in? Yellow model chick, yellow bottle sipping, yellow Lamborghini, yellow top missing. I'm just saying, listen to the song, listen to it a few times, put it on repeat. You can't get in. Okay. And I'll tell you why, because there's magnetic repulsion zones in between the harmonic universes. Unless you know how to suspend the magnetic repulsion zones, you're going to be running smack dab into a wall. You're not getting in, no matter how much of a tantrum you have, no matter how much you meditate, unless you're able to lower the vibration in order to raise the frequency. You're not getting in, and unless you attain higher levels of dimensional consciousness, it will be damn near impossible for you to understand, no matter how many times it's explained, no matter what vernacular is implemented, layman's terms, it doesn't matter. It's not going to make sense. And that's okay. That's why you don't need to waste your time trying to explain something to someone else. You can share of your thoughts for your own personal need to release. But if you're going to try and explain to someone else and gain agreement, if they ain't got the key pass, they can't get in. Bottom line, you can lower yourself, and it's not that you're better, it's that you're at a higher level of consciousness. So you can lower yourself and understand, but they can't raise themselves up and understand. And you're going to have to be okay with that. You have to use discernment, because sometimes people will be used to waste your time in this way. Why do you need them to agree with you? First off, why do you need them to agree with you? Why do you need them to understand? People can only meet you at a level from which they operate. Why do you need their agreement? To validate you? To confirm that you're worthy and deserving of respect? You should already know that. You should already know that. You don't need someone outside of you to give you permission to understand you deserve respect. You deserve love. Now, whether they're going to agree or not, that's irrelevant, okay? You have to set your boundaries and you have to enforce them. Now, when you enforce boundaries, that doesn't always mean that you have to argue. It doesn't always mean you have to get aggressive. It's as simple as, you displace my peace. I recognize this. Every time you post, every time you comment on social media, you displace my sense of peace and centeredness. I'm going to choose myself and my needs, and I'm going to remove you. Not because I hate you, not because I think I'm better than you, but because my peace is more important than your ego. If it hurts your feelings, that's not the intention. But if it hurts your feelings that I've removed myself, maybe you should have treated me better so that I would have wanted to stay. Very simple. Very simple. And it's not to say that just because you remove someone from social media and you guys have an in real life connection, that you're not going to ever talk to them in real life. You know, like if you guys are perfectly fine in real life, you guys get along perfectly fine, they don't displace your peace, beautiful, keep hanging out. Because sometimes people put on a role when it comes to social media. I got to sound woke. I got to sound this. I got to sound that. I'm going to post this. I'm going to post that. This is a new hip thing. This is the new trigger. Like, you know, I sound very woke if I tell my people they should be ashamed of themselves, that we need to pay, you know, like, I can't. I can't. I can't be around that. So I'm going to have to remove you. It doesn't mean I don't like you. It means I can't be allowing myself to continue to be exposed to things that drop my frequency. Because when you displaced your sense of peace, internal peace, there's a very high likelihood that your frequency level will plummet. And that's why Trojans are so effective. Sometimes if a parasite cannot enter your field, access you directly, it will use someone that's within your circle that has access to you. It will use them to upset you, to displace your peace, lower your frequency. And as you're depleted momentarily, there you go. There's your breach. That's the entry point. Your frequency is going to jump back up. It'll rebound. But what happened in that time you were depleted momentarily? Where you saw someone's post and you were so pissed off. That's how, you guys, if you don't agree with someone's post, keep scrolling. Oh, okay, we don't agree. All right. You know, and sometimes it's hard for me too to keep scrolling. Sometimes I'm like wanting to comment and I'm like, girl, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know how this shit works. You know what's being attempted. If you really find it that difficult to not participate in that and argue with them, you need to remove them. It's not childish to block someone. The people who tell you it's childish that you've blocked them, to maintain your peace are the very people who are probably being used as Trojans to access you. Oh, you're probably going to remove me now because I spoke my truth and you're just a horrible person. Well, then what does it matter if I remove you? If you don't like me, you don't agree with my stance, and you think I'm a horrible person, one reason or another, you found justification to feel so negatively about me. What does it matter if I remove you? I'm doing you a favor, aren't I? I'm doing both of us a favor by removing you. Why would I want to continue the argument? You want to stay on so the argument can continue? I don't want to argue with you. You can do that by yourself. You don't need me present to talk shit about me. I'm pretty sure you talk shit about me when I'm not there anyway. So carry on. I'm not going to interrupt what you're doing. Carry on. But my day is going to continue. I have productive things planned for today. And if you can take this mindset and really apply it for yourself, well, I don't have time for this today. Not because I'm better than you, but because I want to cultivate a beautiful life for myself. Has nothing to do with money. I want to be peaceful. I know I can fight. I know I can argue. I can win most arguments. One of the things I recognize about myself, because I sit and spend a lot of time with myself and look at my behaviors. If I engage you in an argument, it's because I've followed the strings. I've beat you in every single way. Yeah, checkmate. I recognize I have you in checkmate. I can make you feel this big very easily. Oh, good job, girl. That's an accomplishment. You made someone feel this big. What the fuck is that going to do? Nothing. So no, I'm not going to engage you anymore. There's no point in that. But so that I can prove I'm smarter. So I can prove what? Nothing. It just makes me look like a jerk too. When you're arguing, this is a meme I saw. When you're arguing with an idiot, there's now two idiots. It's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need to prove anything. We don't need to agree. Perfectly fine. Keep scrolling. So, card number 34, Ubuntu, compassion for others. There's another meme that I saw. It talks about Ubuntu. There is a tribe or a village in, I believe, South Africa, where if a member of their village does something that's frowned upon, instead of villainizing them, instead of shaming them, the village will then take like a whole week and spend time together and really just talk with each other, remind each other all these beautiful things this person has done, all the productive things. You don't just fixate on the one wrong thing someone does. And this applies to you as well. And we do this to ourselves. Sometimes we need to be our own little village and practice our own Ubuntu little festival for a week and be like, look, girl, you fucked up there, but look at all these other things you've done. Look at all these amazing other things. You made one little misstep, and it's not even a misstep. All you did was learn. That method, that decision, it doesn't produce the type of results I want for my life. There's a different way that I need to try. That's all it is. That's all it is. Okay. So compassion for others, also compassion for self. We also have to take care. If you look at this image, oftentimes in spiritual communities, especially, it's taught that compassion for others requires that you blind yourself to the truth of their intentions and behaviors. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is let someone know their behavior is out of pocket. Okay, you out of pocket, boo boo. You need to get back in that pocket before you roll away and get lost because I'm not looking for you. So, this is not about allowing people to continue abusing you, your kindness, your vulnerability, your patience, your desire to help. This is about creating balance. If you can be that patient with someone else, that loving with someone else, then you need to do that for yourself too, before you do it for someone else. You have to do this for yourself first. Okay? Card number 34. Ooh, 34 and 34. 10th house, the world. Ooh. So there's a mirroring going on. A mirroring. So 34 and 34. Maybe at the top, you need to remember Ubuntu. Okay. Sometimes actually most of the time. There is nothing like a phoenix on the rise that gets the attention of others so quickly. And sometimes when you get the attention of others because you are rising back to your own greatness, they will try and shoot you down. They will try and crush you. They will try and cause so much questioning of yourself, your worth, all of that. You know what? Allow them to serve as a reminder to keep focused on yourself and your growth. You don't need their permission to rise. You're using your own fuel. You're not borrowing their fuel. You're not borrowing their fire. This is all yours. They get no say in it. They don't get to dictate. They don't get to demand. They don't get to do any of that. You keep rising. And you know what? If they want to try and touch your fire and they burn themselves, well, that's on them. You shouldn't have tried to put my fire out. You can't later be pissed off that you burned yourself. Okay? If you weren't acting so childish and trying to fiddle with other people's fire, you wouldn't have been burned. Very simple logic. Focus on yourself. This is not about, screw everyone else. This is about, I'm right now, I need to rise. In my rise, I understand that as a phoenix, I glow. I have a beautifully powerful light. And as I rise, my ability to illuminate what's beneath me increases. The higher I go, the more people who witness me will benefit because the glow from my fire will help them find their way back onto their path. Because none of us are here in a savior capacity. We have to get rid of that mental. I'm a light worker. I'm this and that. I'm, starseed. I'm here to save humanity. Boo, you're part of humanity. Save yourself. You're not a messiah. Save yourself. Laws of sovereignty. If someone does not want your help, you are not allowed to give them that help. You have to ask permission. I want you to try this. Go to a kingdom. Go to the Queen of England. Let her know, I think your clothes are busted up. I need to fix your clothes. I'm going to change your whole wardrobe. Okay. And you can say thank you later. I'm busy changing your clothes. I'm doing this for you. I'm saving you, from the fashion police. I'm saving you. Let's see how she takes that. Let's see how she takes that. Let's see how it goes when you try and dictate to a king what they're going to do in their kingdom. It doesn't go. So by virtue of your sovereignty, you are the utmost authority, the highest authority in your kingdom, in your space, your auric field. Why would you ever let someone tell you what to do? You don't. Once you recognize your sovereignty, you don't. And a king and queen, they recognize and acknowledge a king and queen of a foreign kingdom. Okay? They know they're equals. They can't be invading each other's kingdoms. Just, oh, I'm a queen. Not in this kingdom, you're not. Stay in your kingdom. You want to continue to have, wonderful relations, connections, stay in your kingdom. Okay? We can come together. We can come as equals and agree and, hold symposium, but you're not going to come into my kingdom and try and dictate. You want to dictate, stay in your kingdom. Dictate to your people, not to mine. And that's how sovereignty works. That's how sovereignty works. So if you believe you're here in a savior capacity, that you know better because you've done the work. I hear so many people say, I've done the work. Okay, work for you. You don't get to tell other people what to do. You don't. You don't get to tell anyone else what to do. I'm glad you did your work, but you need to stay in your own lane. You're not here to save anyone else. You're here to figure yourself out, to understand how you co-create things, to explore your consciousness and how that consciousness comes into manifest form. And, some people might not like this. Some people might feel like, no, I'm here to save people. I'm telling you right now, you don't have to agree with me, but I guarantee you, if at some point You disagree with me and my choices and my behaviors, and you attempt to enter my kingdom without my permission as a savior. That is an act of war, and you're going to have a big fucking problem with me. That's how it works. You want to declare war, enter my kingdom. Let's see what happens. Is that a challenge? No, that's a declaration of fact. I will defend my kingdom with force if needed. Do I want to? No. I'm peaceful. And I saw the most beautiful words. Peaceful people are capable of tremendous levels of violence, but choose to remain peaceful. Unless you're capable of violence, you're not peaceful, you're helpless. I'm peaceful. I'm a peaceful warrior until you force me to go to war, at which point there will be war. So, no, we're not here to save anyone else. We're not here to invade other people's sovereign auric fields. We're here to co-create experiences that help our consciousness to further expand through exploration, through resistance. That's what we're here for. We're all equals. No one is better. No one is worse. We're all at varying degrees of placement on this plane of existence. That's it. That's it. Is one plane, one degree worse or better than the other? No, it's not. It's just a different place, giving you a different vantage point. Because if we come from the same consciousness and that consciousness is omnipotent and wants to explore itself in the most efficient manner possible, it will fractionate itself, just like fractals. Have you seen fractal art? Take a look at that. It's a fracturing, constant fracturing, and it creates the most beautiful, beautiful designs. Look into fractal art and see this is how creation is modeled. We're nothing but fractals of each other. This is beautiful. It's beautiful. Allow yourself to grow. Allow yourself to rise up to the top of your own world. All right. No, just like the Capricorn energy, because that's what this card represents, Capricorn energy. Just like that Capricorn, you're sure-footed. It doesn't matter how steep that climb is. You'll find a way. If you want to get up, you will get up. You will. But so long as you are wasting your time with trying to get validation, trying to get people to help you, what do you call it? Prove your worth. Do goats do that? Hey guys, I have to climb to the top where there's food. Who wants to lift me up there? No. Climb it your damn self. I'm pretty sure that's what the goats tell each other. Climb it your damn self. I got Capricorn in my chart. I love it. I love it. So let's pull you guys one final card. Hold on. One final card, and then we're going to call it a day. I've been trying to come live to do zodiac readings, and I just don't have it in me. I'm going to be honest. I just don't have it in me. And I can't do readings just because I'm forcing myself, because then I'm just going to be rotten and salty. We don't need that. We don't need that. All right, guys. One more shuffle. Ooh, card number 25, Beyond the Threshold of Fear. Okay, here we go. Enter the lion's jungle. Don't think about getting hurt. Fearful thoughts are phantoms of the mind. No one is harmed in this jungle. Everything is compassion and love. It's your fear holding you back like a bar behind the door. How I celebrate for you. After so long away from home, you are finally returning. Beyond the threshold of fear, you dispense with your doubts, hesitations, cautions, and tentativeness. They are old friends with whom you no longer have anything in common. Goodbye, old friends. I wish you well, you say. While turning your face to the burgeoning light of a new and yet ancient world, you are visiting as though for the first time, and yet somehow also remember deep in your sacred heart. Finally, we can sit together in the charming courtyard at home. We shall tell our tales of adventure and laugh, and we'll dance and sing. Eventually, day shall pass into night, and we'll gaze beneath our feet, our mouths gaping open in awe and minds utterly blank, rendered dumb in sweet submission to beauty as we watch the world spinning on our axis. After so long, you're changing your relationship to fear. No more shall it hold you in its thrall. You are becoming able to observe it, to witness it, even to have compassion rather than resistance. Instead of consciously sabotaging your growth and choosing to slumber in darkness, you awaken and delight in the light and sound of your divine being. Push and pull, one step forward and a half step back. So it has been for so long, and you have endured. Yes, you are winning the race, brave one, and fear is left to fizzle out. It was always a far less beautiful firework than your passionate conviction for love anyway. Better to let that dazzling firework come to light instead, much more satisfying. What a spiritual marathon you've been running. Now the end is in sight. You are drinking the sacred waters to replenish you from your journey. The cups are pushed into your hands by encouraging angels as you approach that blessed sash marking the finish line. Your body and soul are on this journey together, and now they are ready for victory. And yes, to rest and recover from the effort. Rest now before a new adventure begins from a completely different state of being. This oracle comes with spiritual guidance for you. You have broken through a barrier. Ooh. Didn't we talk about how dimensional levels of consciousness are separated by a barrier of a magnetic repulsion zone? You're breaking through. You're rising up. Your consciousness is expanding. This is a self-imposed barrier of fear, whether it seems to originate from within your consciousness or from an external set of circumstance that held you back from taking the steps you're now taking or just about to take. These steps may feel strange, new, uncertain, and exciting. Your mind might not have received the memo that fear-based existence is no longer in operation for you. It may need a loving, tender, reassuring, and firm update that the relationship you have with fear is now rather different. You are a witness, not the victim. Your consciousness is strong enough to hold it in compassion. You don't collapse under its weight. In fact, it's becoming less and less substantial for you. When it's there, it seems less convincing than when it once appeared to be. Compelling still at times, perhaps, but not anywhere near as powerful as it once was. That power has been claimed by your heart instead. So give your mind the memo. Get used to the new way and take steps. Test your legs. You'll find them powerful and ready. Get set to fly. Test your wings. Trust is one, daring is the other. You'll find them enthusiastic for flight and ready to learn to ride the currents. Purpose built for soaring to great heights. Trust your vision. Without the murky filter of fear, it's sharp and clear. You can see what's meant for you, what's true for you, what's beckoning you forward now. Take the running leap. There's no darkness and light for you anymore, just life, living, free and clear. I'll be running and flying beside you. We'll soar and dive and rise together. That's so beautiful. That is so beautiful. So it's time for you to rise. It's time for you to rise. There's nothing left to fear. Really, there's nothing left to fear. Allow your relationship with fear to ripen into a state of knowing that this fear exists simply to bring your attention to the things that need your awareness in this moment. That's the origination of fear anyways. It's a part of our survival instinct. That which we fear makes us much more observant of it. If we fear something, it has a potentiality to affect our ability to survive, right? So we have to pay attention. Now we don't need that type of survival instinct on the daily anymore. So allow that fear to be matured. Allow that fear to function in the way that it was designed to function, just like your ego was designed to function, to simply bring your attention to the very things within yourself that need first observation, second understanding, and third potential modification. It's up to you. It's up to you if you're going to fly, if you're going to run, if you're going to climb. It's up to you. But just know your soul will no longer allow you to remain standing in the same place, stagnant, frozen with fear. That's no longer an option. So, even if you're afraid, courage is not what happens because of lack of fear. Courage is what happens when you choose to move despite the fear being there. Okay? So, you guys, a lot of things to think about today, a lot of things to kind of explore on your own. Very, very, very elevated potentiality of empowerment today. You can choose to rise, or you can choose to stay where you are, or you can choose to regress to a point that you've outgrown. There's no right or wrong. They're simply decisions. Every decision you make takes you further down your spiritual path. No matter what you do, you're going to grow. With ease or with struggle, that's up to you. All right. You guys, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Join me every single time I'm live. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. I'm also on Twitter, all across the board. My handle is Emmie Evolving. I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye.